Quiz. How mature are you, really? Part 1, Maturity. It's one of those words people throw around all the time. You've probably heard phrases like be mature or grow up. But what does that actually mean? Is it just about age? About acting serious? Or is it something deeper, something that shows up in the way we handle life, relationships, and challenges? Today, I want to walk you through a quiz, not the kind where you circle A, B, or C, but a self-test. A mirror you can hold up to your life and ask, how mature am I really? Because the truth is, maturity is not about how many birthdays you've celebrated. It's about how you show up in the world. And sometimes the answers can surprise us. So let's begin with the first layer, emotional control. Ask yourself this: when you're criticized, how do you react? Do you get defensive, lash out, or hold a silent grudge? Or do you pause, breathe, and try to see if there's truth in what's being said? Mature people understand that criticism doesn't define them, it's just information. It can be helpful or it can be discarded, but it doesn't shake their entire identity. Immature people, on the other hand, see criticism as an attack. Their pride flares up. Their ego takes control. Another reflection: when life throws you a curveball, say, your plans fall apart, your car breaks down, or something unexpected ruins your day, how do you handle it? Do you spiral, complain endlessly, or blame someone else? Or do you say, okay, this happened. It sucks, but what's my next step? Maturity is flexibility. It's the ability to adjust when life doesn't cooperate with your expectations. Now, let's move to the second dimension, responsibility. Here's a simple but revealing question. When you say you'll do something, do you actually follow through? Can people count on you, or do you often let them down with excuses? Maturity doesn't mean being flawless. It means being reliable. Your word carries weight. Immature people overpromise and underdeliver. Mature people are careful with their commitments, and when they make one, they keep it. And then there's the issue of mistakes. Nobody is perfect, and maturity isn't about never messing up. It's about what you do when you do mess up. Do you deny, deflect, or justify? Or do you say, that was my fault, I'm sorry. I'll do better next time. Immaturity sees mistakes as weakness, something to hide or disguise. Maturity sees them as opportunities to grow. Now, let's explore maturity in relationships. Ask yourself, when you argue with someone, what's your goal? Is it to dominate, to prove you're right, to win? Or is it to understand and find resolution? An immature mindset says, I need to come out on top. A mature mindset says, let's figure this out in a way that strengthens us, not breaks us. And here's another test. When someone else is speaking, do you actually listen, or are you just waiting for your turn to talk? Listening deeply, without judgment, is a hallmark of maturity. It's not about agreeing with everything you hear, but respecting the other person's perspective enough to give it space. So far, what are you noticing? Maybe you've caught yourself thinking, ouch, I've done that. That's okay. Remember, this isn't about passing or failing. It's about awareness, because without awareness, there's no growth. Now, let's talk about something subtle, but very telling, how you handle your emotions in relationships. For example, do you give people the silent treatment when you're upset, expecting them to magically know what's wrong? Or do you communicate your feelings openly? Do you expect others to read your mind? Or do you take responsibility for expressing yourself clearly? Mature people know that unspoken resentment is poison. They choose communication, even when it's uncomfortable. There's also the matter of boundaries. Immature people either have no boundaries, letting others walk all over them, or they set boundaries harshly out of anger. Mature people set boundaries with clarity and respect. They understand that saying no is not rejection, it's self-care. Let me give you a practical exercise. Think of the last time you had a conflict with someone close to you. Replay it in your mind. Did you approach it with emotional control, responsibility, and the genuine desire to resolve, or did your ego take the wheel? That reflection alone can tell you more about your level of maturity than any quiz result could. And here's the paradox of maturity. Truly mature people rarely walk around thinking, I'm so mature. In fact, they're often the ones most aware of how much more they still have to learn. Immaturity resists growth. It insists, I already know everything. Maturity embraces growth. It says, I'm still learning, and that's okay. So, as we close this first part, I want you to sit with these questions. Not with judgment, but with curiosity. Where do you see yourself acting with maturity? Where do you see yourself struggling? Remember, maturity isn't something you arrive at once and for all. It's a practice, something you build day by day. In the next part, we're going to continue this quiz and go even deeper. We'll look at empathy, self-discipline, long-term thinking, and how you respond when nobody is watching, because that's when your true maturity shows up. Quiz. How mature are you really? Part 2. In the first part of this self-test, we explored emotional control, responsibility, and how you navigate relationships. Those areas reveal a lot about your maturity, but they're only the beginning. Now, we're going to dig deeper into the traits that separate surface-level adulthood from true inner growth. Let's start with one of the most important markers of maturity, empathy. Ask yourself, when someone shares their struggles, do you genuinely listen and try to understand their perspective, or do you dismiss it, minimize it, or quickly turn the conversation back to yourself? Immaturity often comes with self-centeredness. It's not that immature people don't care, but their world is still primarily about them. Mature people expand their circle of concern. They can step into someone else's shoes even if they've never walked that path themselves. Here's a simple test. Think about the last time a friend vented to you about a problem. Did you immediately say, "That's nothing, I've had worse"? Or did you sit with them in their pain, validating their feelings? Maturity isn't about having the perfect advice, it's about presence. Sometimes the most mature thing you can do is simply listen without judgment. Now let's talk about self-discipline. This might not sound glamorous, but it's absolutely crucial. Mature people understand that discipline is freedom. Immature people chase instant gratification, scrolling for hours, indulging in every craving, avoiding anything uncomfortable. Mature people, however, delay gratification. They know that real growth requires consistency, patience, and sacrifice. So ask yourself, do you keep promises to yourself the same way you try to keep promises to others? For example, if you say you'll wake up early, exercise, or save money, do you follow through, or do you let yourself off the hook with excuses? Self-discipline is a form of self-respect. If you can't trust yourself, how can you expect others to? Another key sign of maturity is long-term thinking. Immaturity lives in the present moment only. It says, I want this now, and I don't care about the consequences. Maturity looks beyond the now and asks, if I choose this, how will it affect my future? How will it affect the people around me? Think about your daily habits. Do you make choices based only on comfort and convenience today, or are you building for tomorrow? For example, are you spending recklessly, ignoring your health, neglecting your education, or are you making steady, intentional investments in the future version of yourself? This isn't about living in fear of the future. It's about balance. Mature people still enjoy the present, but they don't sabotage their future in the process. Let's also explore a subtler dimension of maturity, how you behave when nobody is watching. Immaturity thrives on appearances. It's about looking good in front of others, seeking validation, trying to appear impressive. Maturity, on the other hand, is about integrity. It's about doing the right thing even when there's no applause, no recognition, no reward. Here's a hard question. When you're alone, do your actions align with your values? Do you study, work, or practice even when no one will notice? Do you treat people with respect even when you don't need anything from them? Do you clean up after yourself when nobody else will see it? These small, invisible actions reveal your true level of maturity. Another angle to consider: conflict resolution. Immature people either explode or shut down in conflict. They either yell, slam doors, and throw words like weapons, or they avoid the issue entirely, pretending nothing is wrong while resentment builds beneath the surface. Mature people handle conflict differently. They don't enjoy it, but they see it as necessary. They can stay calm, communicate clearly, and work toward resolution rather than revenge. So here's a question for you. When was the last time you had a disagreement? Did you react impulsively, or did you pause, breathe, and choose your words carefully? That one habit, pausing before reacting, is often the line between maturity and immaturity. And finally, let's talk about accountability. It's easy to point fingers when things go wrong. It takes maturity to look inward and ask, what part did I play in this? What can I do differently next time? Immaturity says, it's not my fault. It's theirs. Maturity says, even if part of it isn't my fault, I'll take responsibility for my part. Think about your life right now. Are there areas where you're blaming others, your parents, your boss, your circumstances, when in reality, you also need to take responsibility? Accountability is not about guilt, it's about empowerment. When you take responsibility, you also take back control. So, how are you doing so far? Remember, this isn't a grade. This quiz isn't about labeling yourself as mature or immature. It's about noticing patterns. Where do you see yourself strong? Where do you see room for growth? Because here's the truth. Maturity isn't a destination you arrive at. It's a process. None of us are perfectly mature all the time. We all have moments where our ego takes over, where our impulses win, where we choose the easy way out. But maturity is built by noticing those moments, learning from them, and choosing better next time. In the final part, we're going to bring everything together. We'll look at how these traits, empathy, self-discipline, long-term thinking, and accountability combine into a bigger picture of maturity. And we'll explore how you can actively develop maturity in your daily life, step by step. Part 3. Quiz. How mature are you really? Welcome back to the final part of this deep dive into maturity. Up until now, we've explored the emotional side, the behavioral side, and even taken a self-test through reflection. But in this last stretch, we're going to tie everything together and uncover what the results of this little self-exploration really mean. Because here's the thing, maturity isn't about scoring a perfect 10 on every question. It's about being honest enough to see where you are and being brave enough to grow from there. So let's revisit the quiz framework we've been working with. If you found yourself resonating with the signs of emotional maturity, like being able to stay calm under pressure or listening instead of reacting, then chances are you're further along the path than you might give yourself credit for. But if you notice patterns like bottling up your emotions, avoiding responsibility, or expecting the world to bend to your feelings, then you've uncovered areas that need strengthening, and that's the whole point of this test. It's not a judgment, it's a mirror. Now, let's break down the different result ranges. If most of your answers showed high maturity, congratulations, you've likely gone through enough experiences in life that taught you patience, perspective, and balance. You're not perfect, but you don't need to be. You've learned how to handle challenges without letting them break you. This doesn't mean you can still grow. It just means you already have a strong foundation. If your answers were mixed, some mature, some immature, this is where most people fall. You may be patient in some areas of life, but completely lose control in others. Maybe you're calm at work, but struggle in relationships. Or maybe you're great at taking responsibility but still wrestle with handling criticism. This middle ground is a sign that you're in the process of growing, and the awareness itself is a big step toward progress. If your answers lean toward low maturity, don't panic. This doesn't mean you're doomed to stay stuck forever. What it means is that you've likely been relying on short-term coping mechanisms like avoidance, defensiveness, or blame because they feel safe in the moment. But over time, those strategies backfire. The good news? Now that you've recognized the patterns, you can begin replacing them with healthier ones. So the question is, where to go from here? The answer lies in 3 powerful shifts. Shift from reaction to reflection. Instead of firing back when you're hurt or frustrated, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, what's really going on inside me? That moment of reflection gives you power over your impulses. Shift from blame to ownership. Immaturity thrives on pointing fingers. Maturity thrives on asking, what can I do differently? Ownership doesn't mean you always wrong. It means you strong enough to take responsibility for your part. Shift from avoidance to action. Problems don't disappear because we ignore them. They grow. The more you avoid conflict, the heavier it becomes. Taking small, consistent action, even when it's uncomfortable, is one of the truest signs of maturity. And here's something worth remembering. Maturity isn't tied to age. You've probably met 50-year-olds who act like teenagers, and teenagers who carry themselves with the wisdom of someone twice their age. Experience shapes us, yes, but what matters more is how we respond to those experiences. Some people grow bitter, others grow wiser. That choice is always in your hands. Now, let me leave you with this thought. When people ask, "How mature are you really?" the answer isn't just about how you handle yourself when life is easy. It's about how you respond when things fall apart, when someone betrays you, when you fail, when you're tested. Because those are the moments that reveal your true maturity, not the polished image you present to the world, but the raw character you carry inside. So, as you walk away from this video, I challenge you to reflect on one simple question. What is one area in my life where I can practice greater maturity today? It doesn't need to be a massive transformation. Maybe it's choosing to listen instead of interrupting. Maybe it's owning up to a mistake instead of brushing it off. Or maybe it's just pausing, breathing, and giving yourself the grace to grow. Maturity is not about perfection, it's about progress. And every small step you take makes you stronger, wiser, and more capable of building the life you truly want. Thank you for taking this journey with me. If this video gave you something to think about, I'd love for you to share your thoughts in the comments below. How mature are you really? And what area of your life are you ready to grow in? Because at the end of the day, maturity is not just about knowing better, it's about doing better. And that's a journey worth walking.